Joining me now to talk more about this, longtime political strategist Cheri Jacobus. Cheri, great to see you this morning. Thank you. I'm curious what you were thinking when you watched the former president's speech last night. It went on about an hour. 20 minutes in is when he officially made that announcement.
It was objectively terrible by almost any metric. He's low energy. You had people literally trying to leave the room before he finished. His own daughter wasn't there and put out a statement, Ivanka did, saying she's pulling back from politics. She's pretty much done. He has lost two big mega donors. And he's got, the media that normally was supporting him now making fun of him. Party establishment people did not want him to do this. And it just seems like it fell flat so soon after a very bad midterm election that many people are blaming on him. So the reason for doing this might be simply to think he can avoid indictment. It was just a little bit confusing all the way around on so many levels.
But he did have support. I mean, I'm looking at a tweet from Lindsey Graham where he said, if President Trump continues this tone, delivers the message on a consistent basis, he'll be hard to beat. He still has a strong base. He said, it reminds me of what things are possible regarding our borders. He talked about a lot of things that Americans are struggling with: inflation, fentanyl coming across the border, crime in some of our major cities. I mean, he seems to understand and stuck to the script on a lot of things that we see happening under the Biden administration.
Well, but these are also some things that he had pledged to take care of when he was president, and he did not. And in fact, it took President Biden to actually get Mexico to help pay for a virtual wall. So, he doesn't really, Donald Trump doesn't really have a lot of credibility. Now, he's got his hardcore supporters, but he's losing his big mega donors. They're tired of this. The establishment Republicans are tired of the chaos and tired of, the fact that he always seems to be in legal trouble with perhaps very serious legal problems to come, and they're over it. They want to move on from him. He has a large PAC, a leadership PAC, with about $70 million that he's been using as a slush fund. Now he's pretty much exhausted, I think, the small donors for that. So at this point, he's going to have to raise it. He can't use the PAC for his campaign. So he's going to have to keep tapping into those small donors, people, giving their $10 and $15. And he's been doing that for the last couple of years. Can he sustain that? So I think he's really the Trump era looks like it. I can't say this for sure, but it looks like it might just be running out of gas.
How does that complicate, though, a Republican strategy for 2024? If it's Trump and a number of other Republican candidates, does that benefit Democrats?
I think it depends what happens in the Senate. I think it depends if Joe Biden, in fact, does run. But a broader field, look, once you've got DeSantis officially in, I think the floodgates are open. You're going to see Mike Pence get in. He's made some very rather negative comments about Donald Trump in recent days. So people are no longer afraid of Trump. And so if it's DeSantis, people seem to think he's the biggest threat right now. He might be. But remember, there was a time when we all thought there would be a President Jeb Bush or President Carly Fiorina. So it's still very, very early. But the best thing for the Republican Party and for the country would be to get past this era and bring forward some other people. And it seems like that is what the establishment of the party would like to see happen.
Well, easier said than done. Trump is a powerful political figure, right? He owns the oxygen in the room. And are you optimistic about the future of the Republican Party ahead of the 2024 elections? I'm still thinking midterms.
Well, I no longer vote Republican. I'm an independent, and I've been a party spokesperson and worked on Capitol Hill and leadership for many years. And I left because of Trump. I don't see myself going back because of the people that embraced him and went along with this. But I would like to see a sane Republican Party. And I think a healthy presidential primary and people openly calling for less chaos and revenge and less Trumpism is good for the Republican Party. And that means it would be good for America if the party can help get past this era I think if there are indictments, they're going to be even more eager to do so. Should DOJ come down with some indictments of Trump and some of the people around him. So there's going to be a lot more happening before certainly we can put the nail in the coffin of the Trump era. But there seems to be some real effort to put this behind us, and I think that's appreciated on both sides. I don't buy into this. Oh, Trump is really the one that Democrats would like to run against. I think most people would like to get past this era and move forward.
Well, a healthy primary we shall see. I share in that vision on both sides. An interesting primary, I think, is one that we will certainly have. Political strategist Cheri Jacobus, appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.